All right. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Okay.
It's been a
Oh,
while.
yeah, I know. Hope that you have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee next to you. Because I have mine also, Milo, a very Malaysian drink, or maybe Australian. There's a debate there. Okay, so today
Mm,
I think what I was curious about learning, I guess, is also a reflection on my own self, is pandemic triggered pursuits. All right,
yes.
so personally, I feel like pandemic has triggered quite a number of hobbies, trends. I don't know whether you have observed. I think Dalgona coffee started last year also, kan, when the
Yeah.
whole lockdown happened worldwide. So just wondering whether I know it might be a bit late, but I guess it would be interesting to observe as well what people have kept after the lockdown because it has been like 1 year plus now. There are different stuff happening around the world, but yeah, I don't know whether this thing stuck. So right. So yeah, that will be what we will be talking about today.
Okay.
Okay. I guess so. My first question is, for you personally, what have you tried and have the pandemic changed your interest? Yes,
Did
anyone?
this podcast start in the pandemic?
Yes.
It
Yes.
did.
Last year. Last year, year end.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So
Hmm.
is that a new interest for you? So I'll go first then. So yes, interestingly, now that you have mentioned that stuff, it was last year that I we started this podcast, blogging as well. So just making reliving my blogs lah. I guess I did start a blog before, but I think the last time I updated the previous one was
Hmm.
in 2015. I think 2015. We were
Oh,
doing some
okay.
connected classrooms. I think that time. um, yeah. So and then also try gardening. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So before the pandemic, we did buy a couple of plants, but that was just like air purifying plants kind of thing. But then when the pandemic started, it was like gardening. So I tried salad, parsley, now bok choy. Then currently, the latest one is onion that has been sprouting in the fridge. So we also like plopped it into the ground.
Oh.
Don't waste, right? There was already skin and
Yes.
it coming up. So yeah, so we plopped that in also. And then there's chives given by my family from back home. So now I have like a
Did
rack of gardening area in the house.
is was gardening even something you were interested in, or did the pandemic actually did trigger you guys to
I
start?
I personally think the pandemic triggered something, because I think it was the thought of like perhaps limited opportunities to go out grocery shopping, or like your own choice of not going out. Perhaps I'm like, oh yeah, then why not just plant something at least we can munch on? Like if at least make a salad or something at home. Hence started buying seeds to try. Also, just to explore my green thumb lah, cause my grandma, my dad, my mom can plant.
Oh my god, yeah, that is
So
true.
yeah, and my aunt, so that also they have like gardens and all that at home because of course, because opportunity is there. You have landed property, whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I'm just wondering, yeah, maybe we can try it, see how far my green thumb can go. It was not very successful to start with, but it's interesting lah. Now there's something growing, and then now I'm learning something as well. And then recently for my birthday, Craig's mom gave me a book about indoor plants.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then that was where I learned that salad is not really a thing that we grow here in hot countries because it's hot, it flowers early. When it flowers, the salad leaves would get bitter.
I see.
So no wonder, because I did try and I'm like, why is the salad so
Yeah, I
bitter?
saw you eating your own salad.
Yeah, it is quite bitter. So now from that book, I've learned that they flower earlier and that makes the salad bitter. So it actually needs like Cameron Highland kind of temperature.
Hmm.
Yeah, 20, 25, 21 and below or something like that Celsius.
Okay.
So that's interesting to learn. I guess it gave me an opportunity to learn something new as well. Yeah. So that's on my end. Yeah, Saf and
Yeah.
Azima.
Gardening has been quite the trend. I think Azima has picked up on it as well, like being a plant mom.
Yes,
Being a
Azima.
people. But for me, I have a very interestingly two different experience during this pandemic because last time I was spending time alone, but this time I am actually with my family. So two different challenges that is obviously for me, because last time I am struggling with filling up my free time. I make sure checking myself to stay insane, to stay sane, not going insane because I'm staying alone, like literally for 3 months, just me alone in this box of house, talking to the wall. So I think I'm trying to experimenting a lot of things like gardening, reading, brushing up my personal skills, a lot. But this time, my challenge is to managing the space because for this pandemic, I'm at my hometown with six of siblings in the same house, and imagine everyone have to work from home and we kind of like open our laptop and having this meeting at the same time talking to each other. It's like wow, so ad hoc. So I need to actually manage my space, and also when you live alone, it's up to you what you want to do, what you want to eat. It's up to you.
Yep.
When you live with a lot of people, then you really need to sacrifice and tolerate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's that time you need to okay, I need to stop. I need to go to kitchen and help everyone with cooking. Otherwise, I can't be like going to the table and just eat. So yeah, I can imagine. So that makes me can empathize with those family
The,
that is
the
working
parents.
at their home, parents, yes, exactly, and then multitasking. But yeah, I think this pandemic, I love the topic. It's really triggered a pursuit, the lifestyle change in a blink of eye, and you need to adapt immediately. So your lifestyle change and it's depend on your current situation. So and also I can see that because of this, and I think is the nature of human to stay alive, survival of the fittest. So people needs to express their feelings. So a lot of people have tendency to express their voice, their opinion over social media, over online medium. So that can might be something that new, injecting something new to the lifestyle. So,
Yeah,
mm-mm.
that's true.
How about yourself?
That's true. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not sure if the pandemic changed much of my lifestyle. It seemed like my lifestyle is a bit, I don't know if dormant is the word. It's like very passive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks pretty much the same. So okay, so before pandemic, I think the most interaction I have, or the times when there are outings, will be at a minimum twice a week because we've got like scheduled family dinners. And then on occasion, you'd have your supermarket trips. And when the pandemic happened, the first round, okay, there wasn't supermarket because, my husband would have gone on his own. But then now, with the new SOPs, you could have two people in the car, that kind of thing. So back to normal, but there are no more family gatherings, and I feel like it's pretty much similar. And I don't think I adopted any new hobbies from the pandemic. I think it was more now that we're both home on a weekday basis. I think that changed things. So usually we'd only have nighttime together, but to have like almost 24 hours together, I think that initially did not impact us, but probably it's starting to. Yeah, initially I was like unfazed, like okay lah, like it's nice, you're constantly together. Just to set some context, like we live in a studio, so basically in any corner you're standing, you can see the entire place except for the bathroom. So, and you don't really have your own spaces. So there's no privacy. We work at the dining table and we're next to each other. In the case that he has lectures and I have meetings, one of us has to be in the room, which is just like separated by sliding doors, which is not that soundproof, but it works so far. But you're constantly seeing each other lah, and I think it's getting a bit tiresome maybe because you kind of feel obliged to, oh, do you want to do this together, do you want to do that together? You kind of don't know how to do separate things because you're in the same space. Yeah, I think that is how the pandemic has started to kind of bug us. In terms of hobby, tak ada. But I feel like I have just generally picked up on new things to explore. And my latest thing was Lego, which I tried once over one of those weekends, but I've not picked it up since. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people just keep surviving and adopting the what we have
Yeah.
for now. So we need to survive and adapt to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, June? You also in the same space yeah, for quite a long time.
Yes. I think previously you had scheduled to go back to the office and all that as well, kan? But
Yeah.
for our team, there wasn't a lot of that. So I really only got back to the office since last year, like a handful of times. And then a couple of times also is own choice, just want to go and grab something or I just want to need to meet someone or something like that, right? But not really going to the office to like work. So yeah, handful of times I think boleh kira and but yeah, talking about pandemic triggered pursuits, I think that's interesting that Saf was bringing that up because as I was thinking about it, it was more of like interest change, hobbies, whatnot, right? But actually, yeah, the pandemic also allows you to have time to think inwards, look at people around you, your relationships and whatnot, right? Even with your pets, all that. So I think that's something that you brought up quite interestingly, lah. Um, I on my end, I think we're fortunate enough to be able to have separate rooms, and then so he has his own office, and then I'm working outside in the living room dining area. So we have sort of separate office cubicles lah. That means that the habit of our lifestyle hasn't really changed much. It's like okay, after work, then you meet in the living room or like during lunch, maybe, which is not something that we do in the office. Also, we don't meet for lunch. But now at home, you have that one extra opportunity to like okay, have lunch together. But then yeah, then after work, you would be in the living room watching random YouTube videos together lah, which is similar to what our lifestyle was before. Only slightly increase of opportunity to meet up and talk to one another. I think. Yeah, but before I think it's quite productive to have that space.
I can see and I can pick up from a lot of sharing in media social that most of the family now into this trend of having online family gathering. And it's also happened to close family of mine, which happened several weeks ago. They actually conducted Kanduri Arwah and gathered everyone, the siblings,
Oh,
the
wow.
cousins, to read Yasin, but through online. So I think this is something that it's interesting, but because of this need, we cannot do these practices anymore. So we know that there's online medium. Not only there's akad nikah, there's a solemnization for a wedding online. It's also the conducted family gathering and this kenduri arwah through online. I mean, so they're reading for the past family members, the dissertation. So I think that's kind of interesting. This family is it's not something maybe not underestimating what I mean. I didn't for myself because I'm a cousin, so I didn't see it coming. I was like, wow, that's interesting. I never expect that they will do it. But they did it. I was
Exactly. That was pretty cool.
that's cool. That's cool. I was like, and it's that family. I mean, they're not really into the IT stuff, and then the family member is kind of like in the generation of 50 to 40s and 30s, which is still not even the X and Y generation, but they do it. I was like, that's interesting.
That's really interesting.
Same with our podcast today, and also I also been on Twitter a lot, and I think recently Twitter have this spaces thingy. In Malay, they call it reruang, where they can conduct
Oh.
a live call. It's like a clubhouse, but
Okay.
on Twitter. So you can actually help a session and you discuss about a topic and people can join you and talk to you. I was like, interesting because before this, podcast concept is also, I think, quite rare to pick up by Malaysian. But toward this
That's true.
pandemic, people, I mean, there's a lot more of people into podcasts and also sharing their thoughts, talking about their thoughts in Clubhouse, in places in Twitter. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I'm wondering whether one, because previously we've always taken for granted that there's opportunity to meet face to face, right? So the connection is always there, but now connection is not there, so people are looking for opportunities to make that connection with other people. And then I'm wondering also whether things like being more expressive on social media, like doing podcasts and all those things, is it because people cannot stand the thought of facing their own thoughts at home?
Haunted
The
by your
voices
reflection.
in my head is too loud. Yeah, the voices in my head is too
I
loud.
want to
You know,
talk
I
to
need to.
someone else.
Yeah. So people are finding more mediums to express themselves lah. But I guess there is also, again, back to the same thing. I don't know whether this would be slightly different with extroverts or introverts also lah. So share your thoughts. Where was I going with this? Oh my god. Where was I going with this? Tiba hilang.
Whether
Okay.
you're suffocated, I guess, because you're mentioning introverts, extroverts.
Yeah. I guess just wondering whether there's a difference in terms of finding connections. Finding the balance between opportunities to express yourself, opportunities to connect with people, with the space for yourself. Because Saf, you were mentioning that now Azima also living with someone else, the space that you have for yourself is going to be limited, for example. So then that balance between wanting to connect with people, oh, let's do a virtual gathering with the family, whatever it is, or like let's do a podcast, let's write something on social media, to I need my alone time. Yeah. So that, whether you guys want to share.
Okay, so during the first round of lockdown back in 2020, I felt like it was a blessing in disguise. I think because personally I was going through certain reflections of self and trying to just kind of get back on my own 2 feet. So when the lockdown hit us, there was this, I think it was the first time that literally everyone was just in their homes. And when you look outside the window, there is no activity at all. And you know how like people give out energy? And so when there wasn't any people around, you feel that sense of calmness. Like literally, I could feel it. Like it was just very calm because it was empty. There was nobody, and no one was just, blurring out their energies from whatever they were doing outside my window. Not that I was looking at them, but for some reason I could sense the energy lah. And we had our very first raya where my dad wasn't with us, and there wasn't really much. I guess the celebration, okay, so the basic celebration is you'd go to your in-laws and stay a whole day, and then you go to your own place, you stay a whole day, and there's food, right? So those took place, but there wasn't extended family. And I felt that was quite a bliss. For the first time, us as siblings, like okay, I was like taking it from my siblings' perspective. We were able to decide, we don't care so much for the first day. It's really about just being together. So let's all of us take the second day, and the first day, let's give it to our in-laws. Because there's this whole stigma around first day, second day, and it's so annoying. And it really triggers my anxiety every celebration. That when the pandemic hit and we could actually come together to decide that for all of us, it felt blissful. Like there wasn't any like confrontation or having to think about being equal lah, those kind of things. And I felt like that was the way to go lah. Like pandemic aid is the best for me. Yeah. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
Wondering, yeah. So then that's the case. Does that mean that pandemic allowed people to now think back and like, not to say be more selfish, but be able to think about yourself first as a person, making sure that you are healthy and happy. Like making sure of that first, and also trying to be a little bit more blatant in terms of your request of needing that time for yourself, or that space for yourself. Compared to also wanting to connect with others and stay connected, right? Yeah, but I'm wondering
Yeah.
whether that allowed people to one
To
have
me,
that
it was just reduce the amount of people around, so then less decision makers. In terms of being able to kind of put yourself first, I don't think that happened much, but it was just less decision makers because my dad wasn't around. Yeah, my dad wasn't around, so there was just like one pair of parent to kind of think about. Yeah, I think that was mainly so being without people was something that really helped me. Like it really reduced my anxiety as a whole. And not seeing them for, I think we were locked down for about a couple of months. Was it a couple of months?
Yep.
It's good. And even now, like I've not seen them for almost 2 months now, and it feels good. It's like it's just a good kind, because I have trouble with boundaries. So the pandemic kind of helped that in a way that you don't know how to create boundaries, and the pandemic kind of says no for you. Yeah, I think that has helped lah. Although there are different articles that kind of debunk the myth of this introvert extrovert, how they're being affected by the pandemic, because apparently the introverts are suffering, because I think it's a different understanding on how introverts work, because you know how all the memes are saying, oh, this is the time for introverts because it's exactly what they want out of life, not seeing people. But it's kind of a specific group of introverts would enjoy this, but some are struggling. Yeah, apparently it triggers depression and loneliness. Yeah, but for
Yeah.
me, it's a good thing.
I was just listening to this talk recently as well, because they were working on a research, I guess, across the pandemic, and they realized that things like anxiety, depression, like what you said, stress, and all that has increased in a lot. And I think that this was brought up for students, for people who are still in school, lah. And then they realized that a lot of kids are saying that they're anxious, they're stressed, whatnot. So yeah,
We did see that, So at work we sent out a survey. We weren't asking about mental health per se. We were asking about whether they have the behavior of doing revisions and if they wanted more learning resources. And there was this pattern of Form 1 and Form 2 kids saying that, so you would expect the exam years would be more, I'm actually studying all the time, I want more learning resources. But for some reason, the survey came out, Form 1 and Form 2 students are actually saying this a lot more than the SPM kids. And I took a step back and kind of reflected on it, and I realized it could be because they've never been in school when they went into high school. It wasn't
That's true.
right. So they are hit by the pandemic in a way that you'd be worried lah dah masuk sekolah menengah and now you're not
Mm,
sure what to do. You've not really been in school, so
yeah.
you're trying to catch up on your own time, kind of thing. So that was interesting lah.
They kind of
Mm.
like trapped in spaces. I mean, going to
Yeah,
secondary school, but not yet there.
yeah. So that means darjah 1, darjah 2, form 1, form 2 would be your kids yang are struggling or the cici or just a bit lost lah in the system.
Yeah,
Mm,
I remember when school managed to open at some time when those standard one kids they actually started with online learning first, and then they got chance to go to the physical school. So the physical school is the new norm for them. So it's terbalik for them.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But kids are really resilient lah. I feel like maybe in a sense of talking about extroverted or introverted, I think there's just some kind of resilience to the younger kids because they're still kind of trying to know themselves. But as you get older and you kind of introspect on things a bit more than usual when you were not like when you were younger, then that's when you start worrying. So I think maybe that is what we'll see from the high school kids as opposed to the primary ones.
Yeah. Which is, I think, the same one. I remember when the SPM result been announced recently. It's kind of
Uh-huh.
like surprise because these kids course, and we the adult thinks they cannot survive, but instead of that, they survive in this course.
But there's
And
that
it's a
curve,
good
right?
result. And that's one lecturer that was like, "There's no way it's going, and there's no way the result can be this good." But yeah, the kids is really resilient. You need to acknowledge that they managed to survive the situation and make the best out of it.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
yeah.
all right.
Introvert,
Sidetrack for a
extrovert.
while. Yeah, talking about schooling. Somehow it all goes back to education, I think. Yes. So talking about all these things. So I guess again back to the question of whether you like what Saf was mentioning. Saf thinks that this pandemic has given her an opportunity to establish boundaries. So for you, that is a good thing. But Azima, your thoughts?
Mm, for me, it's like I'm still in the experimental phases, but I think that's good. Um, and I think it's happening along the way. I mean, we experiment what go well with us, and we try to find out more what can actually fit us the best. For example, like me previously, even though I live alone, but then I kind of like tend to be busy, and even though I have connected with my friends, I don't feel that lonely lah. But uh, I will say, however, this situation being put at home and you cannot go out anywhere kind of like give you a little bit of overwhelmed feeling once in a while. And as a person, as a human, you need to vent it out. Right? So normally, usually during before pandemic, we can go out, we can go to leisure, but now you are in this space, so you need to find out another way to vent out your stress. You need your own space, so that is something that still under experiment. Because when living in separate with a lot of people, because you really need to tolerate. It's not about you alone. And also, I can see that recently, talking about this mental health and loneliness, there's a lot of sharing about mental health to educate people that lonely and alone is totally different thing. You can be alone, but you're not lonely.
Hmm.
You can be with everybody, but you still feel lonely.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're educating people about that and encouraging people to learn how to vent out or to express what they're feeling properly. I think that's good. And also, I can see that through this social media, there's a power of netizen. A lot of issues that being shared and get viral, then it got supported by a lot of people. So I was like,
Yeah.
maybe people nowadays, because they're at home, so they pay more attention or spend their time more on media social. There's effort like the white flag, those
Mm-mm.
initiatives, kan, like Bendera Putih, to help each other. And also, it's really, it's very fast. If before this we are talking about digital citizenship or cyberbully, so now it's become so fast that I don't know whether you sempat to address those things or not, but people already on it. So how
Yeah,
people
that's true.
out of frustration. Some of it is good, some of it they just use vulgar words, which is not good, but they just want to vent out. So back to people, as people, we need to vent out. We cannot go out, so we are actually using another channel, another channel to vent out. Then that is interesting. There's a pro and cons. I can
Yeah,
see you can manage
it's
it,
interesting.
and you can, if you aware where are you going, what is happening, or okay, and what does it takes. Okay, you can try to manage it. But if it's out of hand, then it can be a total mess for you. Mm-mm.
So, does that mean what you're saying is that basically, actually, in terms of like social media, like how people behave on social media, like the ones who are cyberbullying and then the one who are looking out for one another, whatnot, it's actually still the same. It's just frequency has increased because people have more
Mm-mm.
to like just scroll their phones now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Also, if we are talking about economy, how we buy things, the e-commerce. We never imagined that e-commerce can make
Oh
such an
yeah.
impact in our life
Mhm.
for now. So we really totally depending on e-commerce now.
True. It's a good business to go into now. So if you're pursuing anything, pursue e-commerce. But talking about that, I was quite uncomfortable because I felt like so like now I'm going grocery shopping and all that, right? I do try to bring my own green bag, like siap bawa paper bag semua tahu for potatoes, onions semua tu.
Mm.
So but then because now you don't really get to go out that much to buy stuff. So when you order everything online, even if you have food delivery or that, it comes in plastics. So then I
Yeah.
realized that the amount of plastic that we always throw out is so much more compared to last time.
Agree.
So yeah, so I do feel bad lah in that case. So like what you said, Lazima. So there's pros and cons to everything, right? Yeah, but I guess that's leading to my next question. So if there is good and there is bad, so what do you think would be the good thing, hopefully, that we can keep based on our experience in this lockdown? Yeah, or if there is anything that you think people should stop doing. Yeah, I want to take time to think about that first.
That's
Because
all.
I personally feel like, so in terms of if let's say what we think is things like establishing boundaries, it just gives you more opportunity to express yourself, um, think about what you really need, especially now. I feel, I don't know whether it's because of the pandemic or whatever lah, but the awareness of things like mental health and all that is increasing. So I think for things that is more like inwards looking, that one I really hope people would keep. I really hope that the awareness of like how you
Yeah.
look up to your community, knowing, oh yeah, you realize how jarring the lifestyles people have is, the socioeconomic status is widening right now, and then people are, I think, getting more aware about this kind of stuff. So that one I
That's
really
true.
hope would be kept lah after the pandemic.
Continues.
Rather than, oh, hey, everything's going back to normal, right? So you shouldn't have any problem with your income anymore, for example. So I don't think that's the case, because I think there would be repercussion from what you are experiencing now already, right? So then the next
Yeah.
one is a recovery phase rather than, oh yeah, back to my normal income or not. So, because there might be debts that you had to postpone and all that. So, in terms of those taking care of communities, taking care of yourself, I really hope that part would be kept lah. Yeah.
That's true. I would say hobbies. I think the whole concept of hobbies. Okay,
coming
so
back.
yes, and I feel like it's not necessarily just because we have this extra time. I only believe that the ones that actually really have the extra time is people who are commuting. So you are literally saving like at least 2 hours every day. But for the rest of the people, I don't think it's really you're having extra time that is why you're picking up on different things. I think it's because it's being shown in your face a lot, and so you just felt like you wanted to do so as well because you're shown the examples can. I feel the whole concept of hobby should really stay because a lot of people get consumed by their daily lives that to some degree you don't realize you're just going with the flow too much and waiting for the next day to come. You're just like letting life pass you by rather than you're intentional with how you're spending your time. And I feel like hobby is the next thing lah. Like you really have to have hobbies because once you're no longer working, basically that's what pandemic life is, retirement. So for people who, I think this is where if you really do not know how to be with yourself or you don't know how to start picking up activities for entertaining yourself, I think by the time you retire and you go through old age, I think that's where we see a lot of elderlies get bored because they really don't know what to do next. They don't know how to have conversations. That's a whole huge thing. But they also don't know how to self-entertain, which is hobbies lah, basically,
That's
right?
true. Yeah, that's
Agree. I really agree. They really,
Yeah.
I mean, people really need to have something to do. If not, that is why they feel that it's overwhelming, that it's tiring because every day they are going into the same cycle and it's eating them.
Yeah, and
I
you're trying
agree
to
with
speed
Sal.
up your day, right?
Yeah, I agree with Sal when Sal said just now. We need to take a step back. Whenever we feel overwhelming, like it's tiring, like whoa, it's too much. I need to stop. Just take a step back and do something that really can make you feel relief. Do something that you love. Yes, people needs to recognize that.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and even if it's TV, it's fine. As long as you know that you're enjoying binge watching, not that you're just paralyzing yourself in front of a screen so that the time moves faster. Yeah, I think you need to at least, at the minimum, acknowledge that. Are you there watching the screen because you're interested? Or are you just zombieing yourself?
yeah, that's true. Actually, talking about that, I just realized that although you do have more time to do all these things, but the understanding and reflecting, again back to reflecting, back to whether this is truly your purpose, truly your passion is something that people don't really do it. It will be just like do it for fun, do it for whether or not you reflect. So, actually, that fun can turn into something else. Also, it is, and I don't know whether there is truly such a need. Like, do I need to reflect on everything? Macam susah je. But I just think that there's. I feel like there is still a lack of that introspection, perhaps.
Yeah.
Who knew dalgona coffee can be turned into a study of ketumbatan density, Azima? Right? But for someone who was able to find connections like that and all that, I think that this time would be very interesting with all the trends that's coming up. Life hacks and all that. You have nonsense stuff, and then you have the stuff that makes sense and all that as well. So combining both together is going to be quite interesting. Yeah. All the exploration, I do enjoy the fact that people are able to explore themselves, explore, like what you said, stuff, hobbies and all that, right? Being able to look back at, like, now jigsaw puzzles are trending, Lego is trending. People are looking for all these things that again, I feel it's a bit nostalgic because we don't do this when we're in our
Hey,
childhood.
why did we stop?
Yes, I
That
know.
would be a question. Why do we
Why
stop?
did we stop? Yeah, yeah. Because we were in the rat race stuff. Just to be reminded, we're still in there. Yeah. But yeah, perhaps like what you said, having more time, not commuting. Even personally, I don't really commute that much to the office also. Kan? It's just like walking
Mm-mm.
distance and all that. But when we're in the office, you do take time to, go for breaks in the pantry, talk to people and whatnot. And I feel that time is the one that is now filled with, okay, being able to manage your house chores, have that extra time to just go and water the plants in your house and all that. So it's that a little bit of time, sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit lah, that style, like a bit of time here and there, 5 minutes is actually quite a lot of time at home. Then suddenly you realize, oh yeah, I have time to mop the floor or whatever it is, rather than something that you do once a week. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
quite
true.
interesting lah. For me, I feel like that's one of the good things that came out from the lockdown.
Yeah, that's true actually. In terms of the doing stuff for your house, I felt like ever since I went into work from home, I was able to build that small pieces of chores.
And you started
Plug it
earlier.
in. Yeah, I started way earlier, which was a bummer actually when everyone was like, "Oh, this is a new experience, it's gonna lock down, don't go to the office." I'm like, I want some change as well.
When you're like, been there, done that, give me something new, put me out there.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, and why did we not mention the biggest change we had is that when we had our lockdown, we got busier because we were trying to raise and leverage on the fact that everyone's home and try to support school. We just got like the work just amplified because of the lockdown, which was fortunate, I guess. Yes, for us it was fortunate, but it
Like
was
e-commerce. E-commerce people also started like, hey, more packages to you.
Voila.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but yes, we should, one day talk about why did we drop the things that we used to enjoy. Yeah, I have a feeling it's about peers and people you hang out with. You just suddenly just kind of remove that part because you thought it's just not a thing to do at that age, kind of thing. Because like Lego, Lego is a simple example lah, because it's not like a doll where you'd have to be ashamed of playing with bricks and building and creating then. Yeah.
Would like to bring that back as well.
Yeah.
I totally. I think it's a good learning curve for me. I mean, I always wish that I'm with my family during pandemic. So I got it. I got it this time. But it's not as easy as you think. I mean, it's really challenging. It's really challenging managing spaces and expectation, and you need to tolerate
Yeah.
and you need to sacrifice. It's really challenging. But I guess that is most of the people are facing because they
Yeah.
go with their family. I mean the challenges for surviving the pandemic alone and with the whole family is really I think it's really different. It's really different. Yeah.
That's true. Very true.
Very true.
Even on that topic itself, like as adults share a space like a home, right? There's like repercussions to how you there was this like post a couple of days back. It's about hopelessness, like learned hopelessness. Yes, I think that was the phrase, where it's like basically the outcome of children who daripada kecil and then sampai ke besar with their own kids, but they're all still living in the same household as their parents. And even when the parents kind of disappears from their life, there is this hopelessness of not knowing what to do. I feel like that is also kind of an interesting topic about everyone being in one space because you literally lose that sense of self. So decision making all kind of just fades away because there's always like an alpha for you to follow. you're always on the kind of follow mentality because there's hierarchy at home kind of thing.
Sama macam if you think about it on the parents' end is again back to sense of purpose lah. Before this, like, your purpose is just to follow, but right now then you have to make the decision. Then you be like, what am I supposed to do? Whereas for parents, it's
Yeah.
your the kids. Then you have the empty nest syndrome where you be like
Yeah.
what you said, go back to self entertainment, like what retirement life. What do I do now? You know, I don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. As we were talking about all that, I actually thought of a new retitle of today's topic, actually.
Oh.
Into
Ta-da! Pandemic triggered pursuits of happiness. So like bringing back, I don't know personally whether this happens to you as well. Putting work at home, as in like work from home situation, throws the timing off for me a little bit. So either I start late and end very late, or like there's no proper work schedule, and then sometimes work would go into life as well. So like on weekends I'm checking Slack, at night before sleep I'm checking Slack, you know, because
Yes.
it seems like there is no
No
kind
boundaries.
of yes, back to your boundaries again.
Unclear boundaries.
Yeah. So then that would let you to think about, is this truly what I want to do? Existential questions. Yeah. So then I guess
existential questions. Yes.
yeah. Then it would go back to like, oh, like it's like what you said, stuff. Is this a hobby? Is this something that entertains me? These questions like that come in also lah. But again, I feel like I am on the fortunate side because factors like space and living together with more than 5 people or something like that is not there for me. So like for Azima, you're saying we have siblings now. I really cannot imagine how that is affecting you emotionally and all that as well. So yeah, so on my end is that lah. So I guess I did have time to a little bit more think about myself compared to having to also balance living with others, tolerating with others, establishing boundaries and whatnot. Yeah. So yeah, so
that also applies on work routine or the amount of work that you get during work from home, because a lot that I've been hearing from quite everybody saying that working from home is really overwhelming compared to going to office and work so we can focus. So at home they tend to feel very tiring and feel kind of like overwhelming. It's like a non-stop. It's like that's the pie chart that went viral. I got things from teachers, from also some of the office worker. There's a pie chart that there's a segment. If you before pandemic, there's a segment. So working is just from 8 to 5 or 9 to 6. But then if you're working at home, then the whole pie chart is work.
That's like I cannot imagine, because I mean even when we were clocking in and out, right? So like let's say 9 to 6 or anything, there are some people who would still bring work back. Like you cannot tune off. So I personally don't really have that issue, because if I balik means I balik, then I would be like, okay, random YouTube videos, cook dinner, or anything like that. I don't really think of work anymore.
Because you've got your activities.
Unless like there's an event that's really, really fun to do, or like I would like to think about, for example, like things like workshops and all that, right? I'd be like, oh yeah, how to design.
Oh my god, yes.
But for the rest of the stuff, more mundane rat race stuff, I think I can tune off quite well. So but then now during the pandemic, the tuning in and out, that part is a bit affected now. So I cannot imagine how for people who cannot tune off, how, like, is it really like your pie chart, Azima? Is it really 24 hours of work? There's no chance for me to tune off. It's not like clock in, clock out, then I can go home, no computer. No. Now my work laptop is in the house. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts or experience from anyone or yourself, perhaps.
Yeah.
On that.
Go on, Azima.
No, when you change the title to Triggered Pursuits of Happiness, so it triggered me also that one of the pursuit of happiness is being able to travel. That now people are going for with this hope that they can go and travel again.
Mm.
And on the other hand, people start venturing virtual travel. Do you know that Zoom Malacca actually make a virtual travel? So people pay to ringgit,
Oh.
7 ringgit. So they will go into an online experience, having like a virtual into Zoom Malacca, having to see this crocodile feeding, this everything. So yeah, people start venturing virtual travel. I was like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
happening in Malaysia. That's good.
Yeah, talking about that, I heard I can't remember what app or what website this is also. There are people who are trying like you now we are here in Malaysia in KL or something, right? So you become the local tourist on behalf of someone else, and then someone else can like watch your stuff. I don't know whether it's on TikTok or like on Insta stories or something.
Oh.
But you would go around and like, oh yeah, so this is what you know. Then you would just introduce the place. I heard there was this trend going
Correct.
on as well. So for people who, especially those who are not like on strict lockdown lah, right? You can still go and roam the streets and whatnot. So then,
Yeah.
but you cannot fly yet. There's no international flights, whatnot. So that's what they can do for other people, and then other people would do that in their own country also lah. So then
Basically, it's like repackaging vlogs, right? Travel vlogs.
something like that, I guess. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, but maybe you do it live so you could actually interact.
Correct.
Maybe.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, going back to the work from home thing, I think it's always an adjustment. Well, I experienced the first year was overwhelming lah, because exactly like you guys were saying, you can't see boundaries, and there's that anxiety that comes from trying to reach someone, but everyone else was not online. I think what was fortunate about lockdown work from homes is that everyone you're trying to reach are also at home. So you don't have the struggle of you're trying to reach someone and no one's replying. When you're the only one working from home, no one's on, on the messaging app. That is, the worst nightmare. But yeah, there was this one time where this wise lady once said, it's all about work-life integration. It's not seeing it as separate, but seeing it as part of the activity that you're also doing. And it's initially when that was kind of put towards us, like, work-life integration, what are you talking about? Are you trying to, make me work so much that, it's more when I kind of took a step back and realized, of course, I'm still not there yet with work-life integration. I'm still using boundaries to help guide what I do in a day. But if you look at work-life integration, what it really means is work is something you want to do as well. And life has its own activities that you want to do. And so, say for example, in the morning, I want to have this routine where I make breakfast and have breakfast with my family, for example, right? And so I have that. But the pocket that I've used, like 2 hours in the morning, because I don't have say for example, the mentality or the mindset is to not see your work as a chunk of 9 to 5. It's seeing it as pockets of different things. It's basically flexible lah. So in the case that you want your 2 hours in the morning to do this, then you repay the 2 hours somewhere else. So basically you're just having the integration where it works for both the workplace and also you. I feel like that's what Arafe does. I feel like she has that work-life integration.
Yeah,
and
but
then nailed down.
that requires a company culture as well, right? If your company is the one
Yes.
that demands a 9 to 5, then you you are expected to be
But
there.
if you think about it, you basically are committed to the meeting times.
Oh.
If you're not meeting,
You mean all your 5 minutes in the
technically-
factory?
Agree.
No,
Agree.
like,
I mean, before this, if
Yeah.
he looks at 9 to 6 as a rigid chunks, then it's really like overwhelming. I face it also. Before this, I was like, I feel that's one time that I was like macam back to back and feel so dry, and then I would like to take about 5 to 15 minutes break. Then I feel so guilty, and then I was like, hey, but if I'm
Yes.
in the office, what will I do? I will walk to the pantry and make some coffee and have a chat with several people, right? And that will actually took me the same minutes, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So it's like, oh, okay. I mean, justification. But as long as you know, but I love the work life integration, and that is something that most of the people still don't realize because they immediately put into this from office culture into this work from home culture.
Mm-mm.
But that's really an interesting topic to talk to and also to offer to the public because I think a lot of more people need to know about this work life concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good point you brought up, and I think Saf, you were there before us. You've been there, done that. So so you realize
Yeah,
that.
ahead of the trend. So people who
Yeah,
actually, I
A
mean,
bit of the trend.
yeah, you exploring the path so people can follow you. I mean, I've been there. So here, this is the term. So that can be the next viral things that people needs to. It's not only about mental health, and maybe because people don't do the work-life integration that leads to the mental health issue because they cannot handle it. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I've still not conquered it. I don't know. It could be because of, being an anxious person. Then you just I'm literally every okay, so what I do intentionally this year in particular is trying to tell myself, excuse me, you're actually at home. Why are you glued to that table and chair for like 9 hours daily? So it might be, your personality or just your whole mindset that really doesn't allow you to kind of break that mold. Like it's difficult to break that mold. Like you could easily catch a 15-minute nap if you're super drained and exhausted. 15-minute nap is within your reach if no one's asking for you. And then like taking different pockets of breaks or literally just working in different spaces of your place ke, or going down to the shared spaces to work. None of that has taken place at all for me. Like for now, how many years have I been working from home? Like 4 years?
Mm.
Has it been
And
four
just now
years
when Saf said about taking the nap thing, actually that also happened to me. And when I think of that, I was like, oh, this is the benefit of being at home. So imagine in the past, we know that in Google Office they have a place to nap. So now I have a place to
kan? Yeah.
nap.
nap pots. Yeah.
I feel like the people who gets to enjoy work-life integration are usually people who has another person to take care of. Like parents or
Oh,
children with parents to take care of or parents with children to take care of. Because it kind of creates a sense of a stronger priority lah. But when it's just yourself, you're always feeling guilty about doing things for yourself. So it's really hard to do that work-life integration.
that's an interesting point. Oh my gosh. We started off from hobbies and then now we're talking about work. Perhaps
Yes.
work is our happiness, which is a good thing. Thankfully.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. I don't know. I don't know where we can end with this because I think there's a lot more to talk about because when it comes to things like lifestyle and all that, there's so many things you can cover, right? So hobbies is one, work is one, family, relationships and all that. There's so many things to cover. And it's interesting how this lockdown has allowed us. I feel a slightly different perspective compared to previous one. Like now having to consider things like work life integration, now having to consider things like your own space, establishing boundaries with people, whereas last time the culture was 9 to 6, then that's it. But now the 9 to 6 is part of your life, like what you said, like the work-life integration and all that. So I think having that different perspective, having time to consider, oh, should I restart a hobby that I wanted to, or like try something new. So all those things has I feel been triggered by this lockdown with that opportunity to be at home and have that extra pockets of time here and there to think about stuff, whether or not you reflect, whether or not you just think for fun or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting, and I think everyone is now slowly looking into pursuing for happiness. I think so that's why I changed the I changed the ticker at the bottom. All right. Good talk, ladies. Anything else to add before we leave in terms of the topic and what we have covered today?
Yeah, I think it's just to, I guess, this conversations and also the new title just triggering to me that however we've gone through the lockdown and the pandemic is a privilege, and I understand like there might be people who completely don't want to bring anything from the pandemic into the future. So yeah, I think that one, just to kind of just put it out there that we have been privileged to kind of experience the pandemic this way.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Because
mm-mm.
life has been lost as well in the pandemic, and then that's not a good thing lah.
Yeah.
In terms of inequality, yeah, because of all those things, I think. Because I have personally heard of stories of people losing lives because of all the consequences of the pandemic. Yeah. So, but again, all these are awareness that we have gained, I guess, a little bit more as well during the pandemic to
Yeah.
realize that gap and this privilege that we have is we're very fortunate lah, basically. Kan?
Yeah, very fortunate. Yeah, and
Very
it's
fortunate.
really important to focus on positive things and happy things. I heard a lot from my friends or other people outside saying that there it goes, 2021 has gone, but you define your own happiness. You cannot compare this year with previous year, but definitely this year is something that you can live uniquely. You define what it is. I mean, don't take it. When I read that they were saying that there you go, 2021, I'll be just here. This is gone just like that. There's no 2021. I was like, okay, that sounds very negative. I mean, you shouldn't compare it with the previous year. It's uniquely. You should make it or define your own happiness. Live it uniquely, contently. So yeah, keep
Pursuits
focus on
of happiness. Yeah.
pursuits of happiness.
Right back to that.
Pursuit your happiness in 2021.
Hopefully your happiness and also happiness of others.
Imagine we will tell our children after this about how
Right.
2021.
I'm wondering
My
whether
God.
this will go into your history textbooks next time.
Exactly. I wish people had kept all the Wawasan 2020 drawings that we did in school.
Oh my god.
And like someone just show us this is what we pictured what it would have been.
I know, right?
Hi.
And my sibling is making a joke about how hard for the future children to learn about Malaysian history because they need to define what is EMCO. What's the difference between MCO and EMCO? How many times what are those
Subtopics.
Yeah. Kan? Oh my god. You give me multiple choice on that, I would sure salah. Jangan suruh I tulis subjektif ke subjektif lagi lagu yang di KO. Multiple
Oh
choice
my
tu don't know
God.
which one to choose already. But that's a joke for another day. Anyhow, thank you so much for joining me this morning, ladies. I'll end the broadcast here. Yep. Yes, that's a good conclusion to have in terms of pandemic triggered pursuits. Now we know that it's pandemic triggered pursuits of happiness.
Yeah.
So hoping everyone is going to be well out there. Stay safe, ladies, and take care.
Take care.